Hello and welcome to Talking Automotive with Mark and John. My name is John Sinclair and my co-host Mark Padavestra.
Hi John, today we've got Vanya Marinari from Carsales. Vanya is the Commercial Director of Media and Sales and Customer Solutions, and Vanya's going to share the new Carsales mediahouse platform and some of the amazing technology that comes with that. It's a very powerful platform that assists dealers, OEMs, accessory providers with having an incredible tool to be able to target and understand their customer journey and then tailor a story to what that customer needs.
The really fascinating thing about it allows you to target the customer all the way through the sales funnel with a very specific message. So really a fantastic tool.
If you like what you see and hear, remember to subscribe to our channel on YouTube, Spotify, and all platforms that have quality podcasts. Let's get into it. With 30 years experience in auto logistics and state-of-the-art locations in 5 major Australian cities, Precar Fleet Services is an independent division of Precar Services, offering specialty fleet fit-outs for commercial applications ranging from simple tray and tow bar fitments to fully bespoke service body and accessory installation. With quality-assured safety, compliance and standardisation of vehicle builds, Precar Fleet Services are a premier all-in-one solutions provider for commercial vehicle fleet operators, leasing companies and original equipment manufacturers. For further information on how Precar Fleet Services can assist in solving your commercial vehicle fit-out needs, please visit precar.com.au and click on the link to Fleet Services.
Hi Vanya, welcome to the show. Great to have you on. Maybe to kick things off, can you tell us about Carsales Media House and what your new strategic direction is?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on. The way that I love to start is to actually explain what Carsales is as a business first. And Carsales ultimately is a data and technology business that gets Australians as they move through life. And we've been doing this for close to over 25 years, actually. So this gives us as a business unrivaled perspective on Australians' relationships with their cars and a whole other spectrum of big decision, life-affirming purchases like buying a boat or better yet, a yacht. What's more life-affirming than that? You know, you've made it when you have one of those. I still don't have one, so a bit more work to do. But what I mean when I talk about big purchase decisions, it's a really important distinction to make because those type of purchase decisions don't come lightly. People do a lot of researching, they get inspired, they move through a whole array of emotions through that journey, consideration sets, picking the winner before that transaction happens. And so there's a whole bunch of signals that can be observed through that very in-depth and long, in most cases, long journey. And Carsales as a business is really seeing those consumers through that entire journey. So then what that gives us is a really unique data set. And so then what Carsales Media House does is uses that unique data set and that audience to empower marketers to make informed and meaningful decisions when it comes to their marketing communications so they can deliver the right business outcomes. Carsales Media House really is the glue between the consumer as they're going through these life-affirming big journeys and the advertiser who wants to connect with that consumer. So Carsales Media House is the connection point. And so what happened to kind of throw us into this kind of new strategic vision? So the strategic direction really for us was all about evolution, and it was how do we evolve our media business? So the Carsales business has been around for 25 years. Our media business has been around for 15 years. So we've actually been around for a long time. And with that, obviously, the market has changed quite a bit. And we wanted to have a strategic direction that kind of future-proofs our business for the next 5 years, let's say, and hopefully more. But things move so quickly in the digital space that, you always have to be at the top of that. So ultimately, there's three things we wanted to evolve as a business. We wanted to evolve our offering so it delivers on full funnel ambitions for marketers. We wanted to target people instead of targeting cookies, which is kind of been the way that the digital ecosystem has operated on. And we wanted to become true marketing partners for our advertisers, and not just automotive advertisers, but a whole array of other advertisers and in other categories that can benefit from speaking to consumers that are making big life-affirming decisions. So then what kind of is interesting is what came out of that strategic work and how we looked to evolve the business.
So I think it's fascinating, Vanya. So the customer is very much in the centre of it. And one of the questions I was keen to ask you, and you just touched on it there, the world of cookies are disappearing. So all those digital players that have relied on cookies to track customer behaviour, those guys are going to be in a lot of trouble. So it sounds like you're already way ahead of that because you're targeting the customer.
Yeah, that's correct. So cookies, so there's all different types of cookies. The third-party cookie in particular is what we're talking about, is going to be sunsetted in the Google Chrome browser probably the end of 2024. They keep changing the goalposts. But the thing that a lot of marketers don't acknowledge is that the third-party cookie is actually challenged today. So Safari as a browser, I think, deletes their cookies, third-party cookies within 24-hour period, limited sort of exposure. Firefox is the same, and there's no such thing as kind of cookie concept in the app environment. So iOS kind of, it's just not a language that exists there. So the digital environment today, if you look at that, is probably only 33% addressable from a targeting perspective, if you're using third-party cookies to target, and then measurement perspective, because that's the other challenge that a lot of marketers are going to face. The first-party cookie is what will continue to exist, and that is what a lot of brands need to start to prioritize. And for us as a business, we've never really relied on third-party cookies, but we want to ensure that we have a future-proofed solution for all marketers that can still deliver the kind of targeting, rich targeting that they want, and the measurability in a time when that's going to be severely challenged. Privacy compliance is probably the other element to that, because there's a lot of legislative changes coming that is essentially going to put the user in the driver's seat where they always really needed to be. It's good for the industry and for the users that they get to have a greater say of what happens to their data and how it's used. And so a lot of businesses need to be very thoughtful and prepared in the way that they're going to do that.
Just for myself, can you explain what a first-party cookie is? Just the differences for people who don't understand that?
Yeah, so a cookie is essentially just a piece of code or an ID that your browser gets attributed during a session. And there's different. The first-party cookie is one that you see the full view of your customer in your environment. There's a second-party cookie, which is essentially another party using a business's first-party cookies and on selling that. And third-party cookies are, you don't even know where it's coming from. it's in most cases inferred data and assumed data, and it's not necessarily the best way to target accurately. And so that's what the industry as a whole wants to move away from: assumed data, inferred data, inaccurate data, questionable data. all of those things, and rely more on privacy compliant first party data that can be verified.
Oh, so that's so when you look at the pillars, so the cookies get back to the customer. So this is where you're targeting the individual.
Yeah.
So how do you what's the next phase from that? So you've got the customer's direct information from that first party cookie.
Yeah, so first party cookies don't actually have any personally identifiable information. And in the digital ecosystem, there's essentially two ways you can target a user: deterministic and probabilistic. Probabilistic is the vernacular of using first party data to target. So you might, in the car sales environment, we have first party data that essentially shows that someone is an SUV buyer. So we know that they're an SUV buyer because they're exhibiting a whole bunch of signals in our environment that very much highly tells us that they're going to buy an SUV, either in 6 months' time, 3 months' time, 6 weeks out. We've got those behaviours, and that's kind of stitched to that first party cookie or an ID, which we're creating, car sales ID. In terms of deterministic data, so that's me knowing that you are Mark Palavestra at whatever your email address is, and I can target an ad based on that information that I have. So the thing that needs to happen in this privacy compliant universe that we're living in today, and will be even more so, is how that data is treated. Because obviously your personally identifiable information needs to be treated with the utmost care. So one of the things that we're doing as a business, one of the pillars within our strategic direction for the Car Sales Media House business, is to ensure that we've got the technology in place to be able to organise our customer data in the most efficient, organised way that is also privacy compliant. So we, as car sales, or Car Sales Media House, I should say, are the first Australian marketplace to partner with Adobe's customer data platform, which essentially enables us to do two things: enable the organisation of that data in a privacy compliant way, and the activation of that data with customers that also have membership or PII data available. So one of the products that's coming from that is called Car Sales Match. So if, Mark, what car do you drive?
Me, I've got a 68 Chevy Camaro.
Chevy. So if I'm speaking to the Chevy marketing team, and let's say they've got your data on file as being an owner, and at some point you also looked for that car on car sales and submitted a lead, we would have you on our member base, and let's assume we all have the right permissions from you to be able to target you, let's say, or talk to you in future. So Chevy could identify, so take the member base, which includes you in it, and we would take our member base, of which we have 11 million records that are actually, that we've gone through that stringent process of ensuring we've got the right consent frameworks and are doing everything above board, not getting ourselves in trouble, right? So then what we do is we take either the email, or it might be a phone number that we match on, and we take that information into a data clean room, which is it's a safeguard to ensure that the data that you provide us is not necessarily seen by us, and that the data that we put in isn't seen by you. It's done in a clean room. And so all that it happens is there's kind of a match that's anonymized and then comes back into our environment. So as a business, what we can say to Chevy is, we've identified one of your members that might be in market to buy a car again. And so for the marketing team at Chevy, that's interesting because they may not know when you're in market to buy another car. But the trigger of them being in the car sales environment might give them the information that they are in market to buy, and they might want to start to message you with a whole array of new offers. I don't know what's better than the car you're driving, but
it's not bad, but maybe a new one. But no, that's
maybe a
but
new
no,
one.
that makes a lot. That's actually very powerful information, isn't it?
Yes.
That is the holy grail of when you think of the money, John, you and I in our previous lives, with the money that our organisations have spent, and you would think, yeah, we're blasting away with we're hitting this we're getting this many UVs, we're getting this many brochure requests, therefore they'll equal this many sales. You can be super targeted, and your conversion ratios will be off the charts.
Yeah. And the beautiful thing is with marketing teams, obviously there's you're capturing that data on the website, and you may not be converting that person into a sale yet. So you've just got a brochure request that's come through, but you've got that information. You can segment that audience whichever way you like. So you might create a marketing tactic that you want to target all the people that have downloaded a brochure request but haven't necessarily converted, and you want to reach them in the environment of car sales if we can find that match. So the match needs to happen first, but assuming that if they're downloading a brochure request that they're in market, and that's a pretty good chance that we'll see them on car sales at some point. So
then you would serve them an ad, a display ad, whilst they're searching for other product?
You can serve them with whatever product you like. So we've got an array of products that, kind of stretch from display to video to native style products. And we might overlay additional behaviours that we see that you may not. So, for example, they've also looked at this brand and that brand, and that's the type of sort of customer you want to target as well. So we can go down the path of enriching the segmentation that the marketing brand has.
So Vanya, does this make the whole traditional type of advertising totally redundant? Do you think that will fall away completely? The traditional media, TV or radio, any of those sort of medias?
I don't think it'll fall away completely. I think it's really important to have a holistic view of your marketing activity, and every channel and every medium has a role to play in that. But I do believe when it comes to digital advertising, as it evolves, this will become more of the norm than not. But it does require marketers to really double down on their first party data and create a strategy around that, and their membership data and how they organise that information and what they do with that. The other thing I would say to that too is that that's really good for retention and loyalty, let's say. It's a really good tactic for that. But there's still that need to do prospecting and to grow your customer base. Now, you can use your audience data to actually prospect. So one of the tactics that a lot of brands use is a suppression strategy. So you know that all of these people that you have segmented are current owners, let's say, and you actually want to target people that aren't. So you can use that as a suppression strategy, or you want to look for people like your owners that haven't necessarily yet come into the brand. So there's plenty of great tactics that can be used to ensure you're kind of growing your market share. But I think everything is a building block.
So does the OEMs, because the OEMs got their digital ecosystem, but car sales has a bigger and more diverse ecosystem. How do you get the information from the OEM's ecosystem into your ecosystem?
If you're talking about that matching, that's the beauty of the technology. So the technology does that. And Adobe is what we're using to underpin the organization of our data. However, we can work with multiple brands. There's plenty of automotive brands in the market today that I know are going down the path of building out a customer data platform, and it may not be with Adobe, and some are, and it's just a matter of getting the technology to work together to find those people, and then obviously strategically we put together the overview of what we want to achieve. Strategically, what do we want to achieve? What's the message that we want to display to these people to convert them? If you look outside the automotive category, and let's use an insurance business, and I will use them because Suncorp is a great customer of ours, and we've gone down the path of beta with carsales match with them. But it's all about, understanding your current customer base and then cross-selling them to other products, let's say.
Wow. So you can actually use their ecosystem with your ecosystem, using the big data and the power of your platform to say, right, this is what we're doing. This is who we're currently targeting. It's been successful, but there's a different messaging strategy for the conquesting opportunities that we've got over here, because we're overlaying the data from your ecosystem that they don't have.
Yes.
And that's right. So we know that these are the behaviours of these particular types of customers that have a propensity to buy a product, but they're not here. So we can then work with you to then get their data and get access to them to serve them a message to get them to transition down the funnel of consideration to maybe take on that product.
Yes.
This is really future stuff.
It is, and it's an important piece. And then the other two elements, and I think this might touch on your question before, John, around will this supersede it? There are many ways in which you can deliver on an objective. And one of the other pillars within our strategy is introducing a team called Fuse. So it's an internal specialist team that bring together a lot of the strengths of the carsales business, so data, technology, creativity, and they wrap themselves around a business opportunity. And so they look at all different ways in which they can deliver a business outcome by using kind of strategic and creative services to deliver on full funnel campaigns. And these campaigns typically can combine things like branded content, multi-brand partnerships. So how do we, as carsales, partner with another publisher? We've been in talks with Urbanlist recently to create a destination. It's called Electric Lane. How do we create content around the EV segment and marry that with another publishers and create a commercial opportunity around that, where we can complement our two audiences on behalf of a customer that wants to work with us. We look at integrations and many more ways in which you can kind of deliver a marketing campaign.
Wow. This is
it's
really mind-blowing stuff. Yeah, this is really, really mind-blowing stuff.
So we did our upfront at the start of October, and we then have been doing roadshows, seeing a lot of customers in market. And this has really been the reaction from some of the information that we're sharing on our strategic direction and what we're doing. A lot of our customers are saying that this is really unexpected. This is kind of the kind of innovation that they expect to see from big media businesses and global tech businesses. And to have a category-based player like carsales that has a huge audience, we're talking about 5 million people a month that come into the environment. And over a longer period of time, that's even higher if you think about reach, because of that churn of audience that's coming through to fulfill on their purchase and then kind of moves on, and we see new people coming in. So the reach is huge. But having our tech and data background allows us to innovate in these areas of marketing in a big way that really does put us on the same kind of global stage with the big media players.
Because it must really open up the market to who you're targeting and who you're segmenting to. So maybe can you tell us more about that? Because traditionally you were very focused in automotive, and now it's just the scope just opens.
Well, that's right, and the question around who would we be relevant for, or who could benefit from carsales mediahouse? The simple answer is everyone. It's just a matter of how do you find that insight into the audience that's going to speak to the brand that you're speaking to, because there tends to be this feeling that, oh, well, you're in the car sales environment, therefore you're a car buyer, therefore I don't really know what people think that is. I mean, they're people like you and me. Car buyers do things outside of looking to buy a car. They have families, they have jobs. In most cases, there's been a trigger event that has kind of moved them into this in-market journey, and that could be anything from, I'm starting a family, or I've got a promotion, or my car's broken down, or I'm moving state, or, I'm retired and I want to, put my keys in from my car to a caravan, whatever it might be. It's a big kind of life trigger that happens that actually has a lot of applications outside of just automotive and those ancillary services. But certainly anyone that really wants to speak to a big engaged audience, that has a high propensity to spend. So this is the interesting part, right? We're often overlooked, but look at the nature of the audience. They are about to drop thousands and thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, on a boat, a caravan, a bike. We're talking about regional businesses too, that we have farm machinery sales, we have construction sales, we've got truck sales. You're talking about decision makers in small businesses. These are really rich audiences that have high confidence to spend. And in the environment in which we find ourselves today, I think it's very difficult to find those people, A, and B, I don't think anyone would have a problem of being convinced to buy a retail item, a fast-moving consumer good, if they're about to spend $50,000 on a car, no problems. So I think if you can think outside the box and align yourself with that type of audience, it can have a lot of benefits.
But even your luxury type items, they would appeal. So you could match, if you sell Gucci bags or whatever, you could match these type of people buying this type of product.
Yeah, we can target affluent audiences and target them with that. We can target families, and not only, with everything that goes with that, not just baby seats for cars. That's the obvious product that you might put because it kind of overlays audience and context.
Yep.
But we can absolutely deliver a combined context and audience or decoupled solution. So it really does widen the scope for us as a business in terms of who we're speaking out in market with. And then some of even the trends in the category, like the rise of EV, let's talk about that. I mean, that's opened up opportunities to a whole array of advertisers we haven't had conversations with before. We've had energy businesses approach us wanting to be the first movers in the space as well. So it's an interesting time.
But I think one of the things that really highlights for me is you talked about life-changing events. And John and I mentioned this once before. We did a podcast probably 18 months ago. We had an American guest speaker on, and she'd actually worked for a dating app. What was it, RSVP or one of those, real estate and cars in the auto industry. And it was interesting, all three had life-changing events. So you get a partner, you buy a house, you buy a car, and all of them were the same. And it's interesting what you've just covered off, because I was thinking her words are ringing in my ears, and then what you're saying as far as the life-changing events. We in the industry get so sucked into the car itself.
Yeah.
And we get too involved in why aren't they buying my car? Don't they know who we are and what our brand is? They know our brand, they should buy our car. Why aren't they? Whereas I like the fact that you guys take the data of the customer and you can track and slice those segments into really tight little categories. You can overlay geography, you can overlay age, you can overlay income levels and just the psychographic behaviours of what people. If I live in this area, I'm likely to buy this type of car because I buy this sort of bag, or I go on this sort of holiday, and you can just see that link tying in, and it gives so much power.
Absolutely. And then within the category that we operate in, because we essentially also see ourselves as a search engine where a lot of the deep dive searches happen. So not only do we have the breadth of the biggest media businesses in Australia in terms of reach, we then couple that with the depth in the category expertise that we have. So a search might happen on Google, but I will guarantee you that the deep diving that car buyers go into, or bike buyers or caravan buyers when they are in market, happen in our environments, because you're filtering by so many different options, your transmission, colour, seats, there's hundreds of different ways in which customers can really filter down their search when they're going through that journey to ownership, and we capture all of that. And so because we've got scale of audience and we have that deep understanding of the behaviour as they're going through the journey, we can also segment our audience depending on where that car buyer is in the journey. So another thing that we want brands to walk away from and knowing is that we actually have a larger role to play than what they consider us for currently. We can tell you if someone is six plus months away from purchase because of the behaviour on site. We can tell you as soon as they start to click over to that intent stage where they're actually 30 to 45 days away from purchase. We know exactly when they're kind of 2 weeks or very close to knowing when they're 2 weeks away from purchase, because the behaviour is so different. If you think about people that are in market to buy a new car, you've had Ben Sullivan on the show before, I know that.
Yeah.
And so we often share notes about what's happening. And, one of the things he told me is that, that average changeover from new to new was eight years or something like that. Now, we're in the industry. We understand what's happening. We've got our finger on the pulse. Your average Australian is not. And so imagine and think back how much the automotive industry itself has evolved in the last 8 years in terms of the tech and the product and all kinds of things. Your average Australian, when they are in market to buy a new car, have no idea what is available, what's out there, that kind of thing. So the first thing they're going to do is go to an environment and digital, because that's how they kind of capture a lot of their research. They'll go into an environment where they can actually get a sense of what the market is like and what's available. And that type of behaviour is very different, right? So it's very light touch. They're looking at multiple categories. They're reading a lot of news and reviews. And what we then tend to see when they're starting to form some kind of a consideration set and getting their confidence is that their search goes from, let's say, looking at 5 different segments to 3. All of a sudden, instead of looking at 8 different models across 5 different brands, they start to narrow that down to 3. And, whatever the subsequent number are, they start to do different things, like they start saving searches. Their frequency goes up. Their recency goes up. All of these are triggers that show us that now they're in this intent stage. And then when they're ready to buy, they're starting to send inquiries to dealers, right? I always say no crazy person's going to give over their details to a dealer unless they're really interested in buying a car. There's, it really is, in terms of when people are submitting leads on car sales, it is absolute real high intent of purchase. And what we tend to see then is VFAX sales results reflect our lead analysis on what's happening. So it's a beautiful thing, because we use this data to then talk to marketers and say, if you have a brand problem or you have a new car you want to launch, target these discoverers. Okay, you want to overlay brand affinity to that, no problem. You want to overlay body type affinity, no problem. Then when they're getting closer to that intent or consideration purchase, you've got to hit them harder with different messaging, right? And then when you know they're two weeks away from buying, well, that's when you go hard with your retail offers. So even in terms of your messaging in the environment, we give marketers the opportunity to be very tactical, very strategic, and to convert.
And this is where your team helps them? This is where the Fuse team slot comes into play?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So that's where they use their skills from a creative and tailoring that campaign. So it's one story while they're up in this part of the funnel, and as they transition down, change the creative, change the narrative, and then you start to get more urgency as they come down. And the story is different to the up versus bottom.
Question for me is, what's your business model? How do you transact with your marketers? Do they pay a sort of lump sum to do a campaign, or do you do it by lead or by interaction with a customer, or a success rate, or a mixture of all of it?
It's a great question. There's the predominant way that marketers or media agency buy inventory on behalf of marketers, and that is based on an impression delivery, so how many times an ad is seen in an environment, and that's based on a cost per 1,000 impressions, so a CPM model, what's known as a CPM model. So it's essentially you pay for the exposure of your ads, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. So it can be as small or as big as you like it to be. There are different models, though. We can optimize campaigns towards outcomes that the marketers are looking for. So one of the other things that this Adobe platform has enabled us to do, and the creation of a unified car sales ID, is we've been able to build a propensity model that essentially allows us to optimize to the marketer's goals. So if you want to drive leads on your website, whether it's locate a dealer, download a brochure, configure your car, whatever that might be, we can look at we've created a car sales pixel, which is just a piece of code that can be embedded into the advertiser's website. Really easy, as easy as any other kind of code they put in terms of their tracking ability. And then we can actually find the match of what happened. So what did those people that were on the advertiser's website, what type of behaviours did they exhibit on car sales before they made those actions? And then we can build a propensity model that looks for people like that more, and it optimizes the campaign to that delivery. Now that's a game changer, because previously, I guess the businesses that were very good at doing that, delivering that, was probably your big tech giants that had the capability to do that from the get-go. And that's why you'll hear a lot of probably dealers say that those type of environments have worked really well in generating leads. We can do the same thing on car sales now, and we've got the scale, and we also have that contextual audience. So we're really confident that we can deliver an even better result. So just back to your question in terms of the buying models, it's generally around kind of how much share of voice you're getting in the environment or reach of a campaign, but it's certainly optimized back to a whole bunch of metrics that marketers are looking for as well.
So, Vanya, I'm keen to get an understanding of the ignition part of the platform. Can you
Yes.
explain that one?
Wow. if you were impressed by now, just you wait to be even more impressed. This is probably the biggest innovation leap we've made as a business. Ignition is essentially a self-serve media buying platform that is designed to empower marketers to make marketing decisions with the unique insight that we have. All those things I talked about, that rich behavior, is essentially embedded into this platform in the planning tool. So it's a 3-stage kind of tool. It allows for you to plan, it allows for you to book and execute and optimize a campaign, and then look at the delivery of that from a reporting standpoint as well. So it's purpose-built in-house, and it offers advertisers that complete flexibility and autonomy to plan, buy with ease, and then ties everything back to a meaningful measurement outcome as well. And so for a category-based player, you actually don't see that happening. It is how the a lot of the social platforms transact their audience with marketers, but we haven't seen any category-based player create something like this. And so we've built that, and we're so proud of that and very excited about it too.
Wow, because it goes back to what John and I often talk about is the PDCA, the plan, do, check, act.
Yeah.
So you can do all of that within Ignition. So the planning's there, the execution, the optimization. So plan, do, check it. Okay, can we tweak it? So you can optimize it. And then you act, and you go back to, and you do the review again. So you're always planning, doing, checking, acting.
That's right.
It's very powerful. Yeah, you're right. Actually, it just keeps on going.
And it gives and that tool we've designed to be really easy to use and understand, but also that everyone can access that. So it doesn't matter how big or small your operation is. It doesn't matter how big or small your budget is. It's designed so you can use it, go in, understand how you can get the best use out of the audience that we have, activate, and it'll give you recommendations, and then obviously it'll give you the ability to be able to turn things on and off and connect with the audiences. A lot of people also don't like kind of doing everything themselves as well. So, particularly when we're looking at media agency spends, when we did the strategic work, I think somewhere around 60%, and I think that's a little bit higher. So 60 or 70% of all digital dollars are transacted through platforms. So now we're enabling all buyers to transact in the way that they want to. Having said that, we also recognise that people want to talk to trusted advisors, and we're not removing that at all. So we're kind of offering a low and high touch option. So if you want to be all in the platform and do everything yourself, you're absolutely welcome to do that. We also have a managed service. So if you want us to do that on your behalf, we can do that as well. And that's a little bit of a different model too, because we kind of are really passionate about ensuring that we're continuing to give the service to our customers that you may not get out of the big platforms.
So from an automotive perspective, it'd be fair to say all OEMs really need to be talking to you.
Absolutely.
And then large dealer groups.
Yeah, large dealer groups, small dealerships, because we have scale, we can do this beautiful thing where we can target very niche audiences but still deliver on scale. That's our kind of big but small thing. So it becomes relevant for any advertiser, no matter how small you are.
And I suppose other opportunities, I'm thinking if I'm a accessory reseller for bull bars, or off-road lift kits and all this sort of stuff, that would make sense that I would then work with you to target and serve my messaging to people who are buying 4x4 off-road vehicles, medium pickup and cab chassis, whether they be new or used, because it works across both. So I could then tell that story and be really targeted and making sure I get value out of my marketing spend, that I'm not just shotgun blasting people that don't really listen or hear what I'm saying, because I'll be able to target right down to this is the 4x4 buyer who lives in the outer suburbs of metropolitan cities or in rural areas who want to have this sort of gear.
That's right.
And then a tow bar, then because I'm going to buy a jet ski, so therefore you can serve me as if I'm a jet ski distributor or reseller, I should be doing that as well, because I can then piggyback what's happening with that particular buyer, because they're going through a different lifestyle phase.
Yeah.
And way to go. So the permutations and combinations are significant. And I don't have to be massive to do it. If I am a big OEM or even a small OEM, I should be doing this. But if I'm a small dealer or a large dealer or even a reseller of accessories, I should be doing this.
Yes.
Because that way I'm going to be getting the best bang for buck, and I can then plan, do, check, act on the platform, and I can actually report if I need to report, or if I'm assessing my own spend, I can actually see that quite quickly and easily how effective I'm being with that spend.
Yes, absolutely. And the platform will allow you to book on your objective too. So if you don't have a big budget but need to get that outcome, you can predefine that outcome and make sure that that campaign is optimizing towards those goals. Because we recognize how difficult it is for small businesses to invest big marketing dollars and get that cut through and share of voice, when really they are very reliant on a certain outcome.
Wow. It's more than just listings on used car listings on car sales, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. That's what we've been telling people for years. But now we also have the tools to make it easy for them to transact.
Now, Vanya, I really thank you for, I suppose, reiterating, because there's a lot of misconceptions about the car sales business. Car sales has been around for 25 years. You know, many in the auto industry think the old way of, yes, it's a platform to sell cars, new and used cars. Whereas in fact, it really, car sales is a data and technology business. And you highlight that with the information that you talk about, which is you actually put the customer in the center of everything. And it's the customer's journey that you track through information, and primarily through first-party cookies, but information that you're engaging with that client. So it's real, accurate, valuable information, but you protect it. You use clean rooms, etc., so that there is that your data is rock solid. The integrity is maintained. So it's safe, but also it's accurate, and that's the key, because you don't want erroneous data. You're not relying on third-party cookies. It's good quality, primary source data. So it's a powerful platform, and you've tied in with Adobe. So this is where you get standardization. So you have standardization, you've got information on the customer and their behaviors, and it links back to their behaviors around lifestyle. So it's not just about cars, it's boats, it's caravans, it's machinery. It's when you have a change in life and all the associated effects that come with that. Because we're talking about a significant purchase here. Often the second largest purchase that individuals make. They make those purchases every 7 years, or some more frequently than that. But in the main, it's a significant purchase. So you have the power of your data. You've got this big data and you crunch all these numbers down, and you can segment down to the geography, the age group, the psychology, the psychographics, the behavioral of each of these particular buyers. And you can track to see whether they're at the top end of the funnel or they're right down ready to purchase, and the type of behaviors that they exhibit along the way. So then, this is the power of Mediahouse. You've set up a platform where you provide support and tools for your clients who can have objectives that they need to meet in order to engage, inform, and convince through sales and education them to buy products or services. So here you are, you're coming down the funnel, but you've got the Fuse team, which gives extra support because you've got specialists that have creative input, but also can put these campaigns together and have a solution for your customer. Because often the customer may think one thing, but when you speak with data, you then give them the answers that will actually maybe going down the wrong path. And this is where you get the measurability and the ability to tweak the campaign, because the campaign story at the upper funnel versus the campaign at the bottom of the funnel, it can be different, even though you're selling the same product or service. So you're serving different people, different stories at different stages of the funnel. And this is the dynamic nature of what you're providing through your platform. So the team of specialists, your target audience could be anyone from a large OEM, and large OEMs really should be doing this. You've got small OEMs, you've got large dealer groups, small dealers, but even people associated with the industry like accessory providers or retailers and marketers. You've got other individuals that provide insurance services and other bits and pieces in this ecosystem that is the auto industry. So it's not just OEMs and cars. So hopefully I've done you justice as far as summarising what you've taught us this evening. It's been an amazing story, and thank you for coming on the show.
I am so impressed with how you articulated that, Mark. That was excellent. Really, you really got the essence of what we have talked about. And yeah, I really thank you both for having me on here, and happy to come back anytime and speak to you some more.
Well, thanks very much, Vanya. We really enjoyed listening to you this evening.
Thanks for listening. Hopefully you got as much out of the conversation with Vanya as we did. An amazing platform with some incredible technology to really focus and target on your audience.
Thanks very much for listening. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe to our channel on YouTube. You can also follow us on iTunes, Spotify, and a whole range of podcast channels. We'll speak to you next week.